Hey everyone. Okay, so episode 2, and I guess the obvious question to ask is it any better than episode 1? Um, marginally. Marginally. And I do mean marginally because I guess if I was to offer one bit of positivity right out of the gate is that while not vastly improved, the animation did take a slight leap with this week's episode. It's still not great, and there are still a lot of the same rough spots I brought up in last week's review. But there were moments where I saw some moments that I could describe as pretty well as pretty good. But at the same time, at the same time that praise isn't really praise either, I suppose, because because I with the thing about this is that this is episode 2, and second episodes are always supposed to be the episodes that really give a better picture of what this is going to look like, what this is going to be. And so because of that, because of that fact, even despite the small leap the animation took, it's not exactly the kind of leap that inspires confidence in the rest of the series either. It's like this episode needed to take more than just a small leap in order to show that yes, that ACAT is taking this seriously, and it's only kind of soured my trust in this, honestly. Of course, and even putting the animation aside, though, that's compared to the first episode. That's honestly weirdly not my only problem with this episode. In fact, one of the biggest problems I have with this episode is weirdly kind of a reversal problem I had with last. Is really this whole episode is kind of a weird reversal from basically last week's episode, in the sense where one of my weirdly bigger problems with this episode is compared to the first episode. This one straight up cuts out, trims, or streamlines entire sections of moments from the webcomic. For example, the episode introduces us to a band of adventurers known as the Twin Horns Party, a group that Reynolds and Alice used to be members of. Now, with the introduction of these characters, where the anime completely drops the ball is that it streamlines Arthur's journey with them. Like, the webcomic took its time, like seeing Arthur getting to know and bonding with the members of the Twin Horns, specifically Jasmine. And while the webcomic did have a couple montage moments as well, the anime does this while also cutting out everything else, including entire conversations. And I'm sorry, but you cannot do that with this story, because for as fillery as a lot of the conversations and like moments of Arthur just kind of talking with people might seem in the moment, these interactions and relationships are important to emphasize for Arthur's growth, especially the one with Jasmine, because without giving away spoilers, Arthur's relationship with Jasmine is the first one that keeps him grounded to his new life. And because of the way this episode was handled, it's like honestly from I'll say this actually too. I think for me there was honestly a real chance there was a real chance that the anime could have actually emphasized a lot of the moments better in the webcomic, but here they didn't emphasize anything. They just kind of, at bare minimum, they just did the bare minimum at best of just like animating the moments that were in the webcomic, and at worst they pretty much cut out the moments that would have actually helped. So it's like, yeah, and honestly, this is an episode where ACAT really needed to pull back on all those anime-only flashbacks we've been getting of Arthur's previous life as King Gray, because it really cut into the time that they could have been used in adapting a lot of the stuff they cut out or streamlined. Like, again, this episode is so fucking weird because I like the stuff we get. This weird because the animation for as much as it's still got problems, a slight improvement. But then everything else is like, what the fuck are you doing, ACAT? So yeah. The other thing that kind of annoyed me is that the anime cut out a rather informative section from the webcomic that gets more in depth about the nature of manicores. Now, as far as this moment is concerned, my blind optimism is hoping the plan there is to rework that into the next episode given how this episode ends and how it adapted up to the bandit attack and the aftermath. And I know what happens now that Arthur is effectively separated from his family, so maybe they'll readapt that portion in the next episode, but the fact that they cut it out at all is kind of questionable to me, and if it's not in the next episode, yeah, we're gonna have some problems. In fact, going back to what I was saying about the episode streamlining a lot of what they adapted, the dinner scene with Arthur and his family was also completely butchered. Now in this case, it's not so much because we're necessarily missed anything too much anyway. They still got the basic plot of saying, yeah, Arthur needs a teacher and whatnot, but it's one of those things where it does kind of draw attention to the fact that ACAD is kind of trying to is not working with great budget here, or they're just not great at animating this story at all, because I just wanted to save on the budget so they could make everything else look, I guess, decently presentable. Because let me put it to you this way: if they adapted everything that happened in the beginning of this episode with the dinner scene, it would have eaten into the animation budget. I know for a fact it would have. In fact, I know I gave the animation a bit of credit earlier, but I also have to say they cut out a lot of Arthur's spotlight during the bandit attack, and in a way, I think I understand why they did this from a narrative standpoint of wanting to play up more so the fact that Arthur's still a kid, but it's hard to not look at it from the cynical point of view as well that ACAT did it to avoid animating a lot of what would be some rather intense fight scenes which in itself also undercuts and also by not animating a lot of what Arthur was doing it also kind of undercuts the lesson of Arthur finally embracing his new family and the desire to protect them. And again, because of the decisions made to adapt this episode, I frankly have to say that for as problematic as the first episode was, it is technically the better one, even if it's by the smallest margins. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that, but it is kind of looking to be the case between this episode and the last one. Like, I do think the first episode might be a little bit better. I'm sorry. And yeah, there's not much more I have to say. If I do have to give the episode, I guess, the tiniest bit of genuine credit, is that I did like that for however distilled everything was. I still do like the few moments we get of Arthur with Alice in this episode. So when Reynolds drops the bombshell that Alice is pregnant, again, it does flip that switch in Arthur's mind and show that he actually has grown to care about his new family, his new life and family. Again, wish they didn't cut out so much of the earlier moments of the episode, but I'll take what I can get, I suppose. But yeah, I'll just say it right now, if things don't improve beyond this point, I might have to consider dropping this as a review series, because otherwise I'm gonna be repeating the same shit over and over again. But yeah, guys, that's kind of all I have to say in this rant, review, whatever you want to call it. But if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Blue Sky, Analyst, Crunchyroll, push your notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime signing off. Later, everyone.